quality is tolerance. And it is I believe it's the number one reason that people fail in group efforts. Not individual efforts, but in group efforts. I really do believe it's the number one reason teams fail. I believe it's the number one reason corporations fail. I believe it's the number one reason companies fail. Is people start looking around to see if everybody in their company is the same color, race, religion, ethnicity. If they're not, they start picking and choosing. And when that happens, then you begin prejudice. And then you destroy the fiber of the team, group, whatever it might be. The story today is about Carlisle Indian Academy. And you can read it, but I'm going to tell it to you. I love this. There's a book about Carlisle Indian Academy, and the name of the book is called The Real All-Americans. The Real All-Americans. Now, Carlisle Indian Academy, if you can picture this, and you can, it was begun to Americanize all the Indians. Those people that lived here before anybody else got here. We were going to Americanize them, the federal government. So they took all these boys and girls from the top of the Indian nation, the chiefs and the leaders of the Indian nations, and they brought them all to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And they Americanized them. They got rid of their Indian, Native American rituals. They got rid of their Native American beliefs. They dressed them like the Americans or like us. And they were going to change them and make them. So this concept was totally intolerant. Well, football began about the same time, during this time. And so the boys, the Indian boys who were very competitive and loved to be tough and play the game of football, went to the head of Carlisle Indian Academy, Colonel Pratt, and they said, "We want to start a football team." He said, "Okay. We'll start a football team. I'll build the facilities and I'll hire the best coach available on 2 conditions." And I said, "Okay." Now, you have to understand, in the Indian life, if you gave someone your word and you didn't keep it, that was enough cause for you to kill yourself. That's what I said, kill yourself. So if you told somebody you were going to do something and then you didn't do it, it was a dishonor to you and your family and everyone else. So he told them, "You've got to give me your word on these 2 things." They said, "Okay." And he said, "You will never strike back. No matter how often you're spoken to in a negative manner, no matter how many names you're called, all of those things, when those things happen, you're going to have to ignore them." And that's going to be really difficult because all of these teams are going to cheap shot you and they're going to punch you down when you're on the ground. They're going to do everything they can and they're going to make fun of you and call you names, and the referees are going to cheat you because you're not one of them. And you can never strike back. Okay, what's the second condition? The second condition is within 5 years you have to play for the national championship. Beginning from nothing, none of these young boys have ever played the game of football, and they've got to win the national championship within 5 years. So they go back to their dormitories and they talk and they visit and they listen. And they come back and they say, we'll do it. We will not strike back. And we will try to win the national championship. And Pratt slaps the desk and he said, I don't want to hear you try. Try indicates failure. I want you to give me your word you're going to win the national championship. Not an easy thing to do. So they went back and came back the next day and they said, okay, we'll do it. Colonel Pratt hired Pop Warner. At that time, probably the best coach in the United States. He took these young Indian boys that had never played the game of football, and they played the best schedule. They played all the great football teams on the East Coast, which is the only place that football was at that time. And they got cheated. And they got called every name in the book and kicked and bit and all that, and they never once retaliated. In this period, they never got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Which one was tolerant? Which one was intolerant? See, the Native American boys wanted so much to prove that they could be the best without that incendiary things. And they did. The third year that they played football, they played the United States Military Academy at West Point for the national championship. One of the players on that West Point team was Dwight Eisenhower, the man who led the D-Day invasion for the United States in World War II. Does it indicate tolerance? Well, this story indicates both of them. The intolerance of people trying to Americanize the real Americans, the people that were here in the very beginning, taking away all their culture and doing all that. And it indicates tolerance. The young native boys put up with everything in order to achieve a higher goal. That's what tolerance is. The only way you're going to be the best you that you can be is when you're tolerant of all people.